Hello again, my name is Amy Sinacola and I'm here with Tracy Churchill again. We are doing a short video series over the next 4 weeks to encourage and support more nurses to share their wisdom, thoughts and experiences on LinkedIn. We are going to be talking more about why LinkedIn is a great forum for nurses to be posting on, and we did that in detail last week, so if you haven't seen last week's video, then please go and check that out to give you a bit of inspiration and motivation to post something. And this week we're going to be focusing more on the barriers that stop us posting, and then I think we've got 2 more weeks where we're going to be thinking about the kind of LinkedIn what and when to post and that kind of thing. And then after that, I can't remember what's on week 4, but we'll have another video on week 4 around encouraging nurses to have a voice, I think it was. So yeah, so really just wanted to come on and talk about what stops us this week from posting on LinkedIn. But first, I realised last week we didn't really introduce ourselves very well. We were just so enthusiastic and excited to be talking to each other about this. We launched right in. So just to give Tracy a moment to introduce herself and what she does. So Tracy, over to you.
Yes, I am a nurse. I started out as a registered nurse and I've been in nursing for 17 years now. 14 of those have been in supervisory and managerial roles, and I'm currently in a nurse unit manager position. I love my job and I love working with other nurses. There's only one thing that I love more than my job, and it's trying to get other people to love their job more as well. So one thing that I truly believe is that great workplaces contribute to great lives. And when we recognize the amount of joy that our work can bring us and the amount of value that it adds to the rest of our lives, we can really appreciate that. And the more we can share with others, the more they might be able to see it as well. So, for example, I'm a mother, I have 2 small children, and I believe that I'm better at it because of being a nurse for so long. But also, now that I'm a mother, I think I'm probably even a more compassionate nurse as well. Because now when I see people, I can see that every single person is someone's child, and that makes me feel a little bit more compassionate towards them.
Yeah, more connected. Yeah. Oh, that's lovely. And I think I love the way you speak so positively about nursing, because certainly what I've been reading recently in the press is about, you know, how nurses are feeling so overwhelmed and undervalued, and the problems with recruitment and lots of negativity around the profession, and it just saddens me because there is so much joy and there is so much to be got from a career in nursing, and I think we perhaps could do with shouting that out a little bit more to encourage more people into the profession. And I'm not saying it's not tough at times, of course, I'm not belittling that. It is extraordinarily challenging at times, but hopefully with more leaders and managers like Tracy to support you and motivate you, then it should be a better place to work. So yeah, thanks Tracy for sharing. And a little bit about myself, I suppose. I qualified in 1998 and started my training in 94, so yeah, long in the tooth. And I've worked yeah, over 20 years in nursing, the majority of that in cancer care, bone marrow transplants and haematology, so in acute big teaching hospitals. So fully appreciate the challenges that come with the job, but also, like you, feel that it's a job that also brings many joys. So, but yeah, currently I'm working as a coach because I want to work more with, you know, I love nursing and I love nurses, and I want to work more in kind of supporting nurses to feel equipped and able and motivated and inspired and empowered to do their job and to go out there and make a difference. So, so that's where I'm focusing my energies at the moment. So yeah. Anyway, enough about us, and on to today's topic of what's holding people back from LinkedIn. And this video series came about because of a post that Tracy had put on about why nurses were nurses posting on LinkedIn, and if they were, what were they posting? If they weren't, why they weren't. So what were some of the themes that came from that post, Tracy? You want to talk a bit more about that?
I guess a lot of the themes were around fear. So fear of breaching hospital policy, fear of, do I have anything to add? Do I have anything to contribute? Fear of what will other people think of me, and also a fear of who am I? Who am I to do that? So I guess those are the things that we're probably going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
All of those things it's such a shame to let fear hold us back. I don't know if you've seen the Australian movie Strictly Ballroom, but there's a quote in there saying, a life lived in fear is a life half lived. And in so many ways, I find that to be profound and true. But the first thing we were going to talk about was the social media policy. Is that what we're going to talk about first?
I think so, yeah. And I think that came through quite often on that thread, was the concern over that people would be breaching some rules or regulations, or could be in fear of the kind of senior level at the hospital or where they work having some issue with what they were posting. So what would your advice be on that for people who had that concern? I'm just going to, while you talk, I'm just going to search my earphones because I can hear a bit of feedback coming through. But yeah, chat away.
What I would like to say is, for people who are concerned about breaching the social media policy, first thing, read it. Find out what it says. Find out what it says you can't post and what it says that you can post. So most social media policies say you cannot post anything that would reflect negatively on the organisation or the reputation of the organisation. But you probably don't want to post that anyway. All the social media policies will say you should not post pictures of patients or identify any identifiable information. You shouldn't identify anyone at all, because that is a breach of their privacy and confidentiality. And I, for one, have no issue with that. I believe we should be protecting our patients and making sure their confidentiality and privacy is respected and protected. So all of the things I've seen posted by nurses have not been pictures of patients or have not been telling any kind of identifiable information. Sometimes there might be a heartwarming piece, and it would just be, once upon a time, I was looking after a lady of, there's no age usually given, or it might say an older lady. But this is not identifying anyone at all. It wouldn't be saying, today I looked after a 93-year-old woman who fractured her knob in this exact place, because that's obviously very identifiable.
Yeah.
But the types of things that they don't want us to publish are things that we probably wouldn't publish online anyway. So they don't want things like pictures of things that have been done wrong, or us talking negatively about other people in our workplace. And those are behaviours that good people wouldn't do anyway, because that is slander and defamation. And when we work at a place, usually we're pretty proud of where we work. And if we aren't, maybe we should look for other places where we would be proud to work. What do you think about that?
I think it's correct that, I mean, if you think of LinkedIn as being a professional forum, and you want to be seen in a professional way, and you want to be seen in a positive light and in a professional way, then post things in a professional manner that don't, slag off your work colleague, or don't breach any confidentiality rules around patient care. And I like that you give the example of how to post something around maybe an experience you've had with a patient without breaching that confidentiality, because I think there's value in sharing some of those experiences. People are always interested to hear, and that's why these medical documentaries have great reach, don't they, with people, because people are always interested to know what it's like to be on the front line, to be looking after people in these situations. So there's something there to share maybe, but it's how you do it, isn't it? And maybe letting some time pass, being very, very general and broad about how you describe the situation that you were in, maybe even changing the sex of the patient. You know, you can do it in a way that doesn't identify them, I would say. And yeah, and if you're not proud of your organization, then why are you working there? You know, if you don't have nice things to say, then just don't say them. Well, it's just about being respectful, isn't it, I suppose, to other people, and being professional along the way. And that's how I've always gone about it. And I suppose there's something there around, sometimes, I don't know what you think, there's negative experiences that you can have in your organisation where there might be something to learn from. And I'm just wondering how you would, you know, could you use that at all in your posting?
If you learn from a negative experience?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about, say, I'm thinking specifically about maybe a negative experience that I've had with a manager, and if I'm posting something on, you know, how to be a better manager, and I want to tell a little story about something that happened to me, it's in a way, it's helpful in terms of getting people to review their practices, or getting people to see how what they do and what they say matters. And it gives a little story, but it's not naming any names. It's not necessarily even naming the place that it happened in. What do you think about that? Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've shared things like that in some of my LinkedIn posts because I don't want people to make the same mistakes I have. For example, there's something that I'm just trying to write right now, and it's around how to give post-interview feedback. Because when I first went into managerial roles, there was none of that, and there wasn't really training on how to deliver news, and which resulted in me doing things the wrong way. Yeah. And then learning through making so many mistakes. So one story that I really would love to share, and I'm trying to figure out how to write it, is a person who I was trying to give feedback to. She was one of the first people I ever gave feedback to going into a senior position, and I did it so badly. You know, the timing was wrong. I told her straight after night shift. You know, when the person asked me for feedback, I immediately gave feedback, and they were not in the right headspace to be able to even hear what I was saying. So many things that other managers could learn from and not go through all of the bad experiences that I did and that I inflicted on others by myself not knowing. So when I share things like that, I might just post it as a mistake I made, and I would say, in one of the places where I've worked, which is very non-specific, a person applied for a job and they were unsuccessful. These are the mistakes that I made when I was trying to give them feedback. And then I would say my mistakes. And that does not reflect on the organization, because this was something I personally did. It reflects on myself, but it's also me reflecting on myself and saying, now I know better. Now I would do this. You can do this. And skip all of the hard steps that I did, because these things don't work. Yeah, that's a sort of an example of how I would share something like that.
Yeah. And I'm always conscious of trying to take the stories that could be perceived or construed as negative, and trying to twist them to having a learning or a positive angle coming from it, so that it's not me just kind of moaning and complaining about something. It's like, this happened, this is what I've learned about me, my response, or this is what I've learned about how the situation could have been handled better or differently from reading about it. This might be useful for you to know about, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to comment on, those kind of fears around what some of the nurses have been saying in your thread around, well, I'm worried about if it gets seen by senior management and then I lose my job, or I'm victimized because of what I'm posting, that kind of thing?
I would just like to say, you shouldn't post anything that reflects badly upon yourself or upon your profession. And when I say I have made mistakes and these are the mistakes I've made, I know that it may look like a bad personal reflection of myself, but it's reflecting that I've grown and I've learned, and now I know better. And there's a great quote by Maya Angelou, and she said, "We do the best we can." when we know better, we do better. And that is something that really inspires me. So if you were thinking of something that you wanted to post on LinkedIn and you were worried about someone higher than you seeing it, you should not post that, because if there's a reason why you think they wouldn't like it, you're probably wrong. You've got great intuition, and you know instinctively if this is something that could jeopardize your future career or not. And if you're on the fence and you're not sure, ask a trusted colleague and say, hey, do you think this is too inflammatory for LinkedIn? Or do you think this would upset people if I put on LinkedIn? And there should be nothing negative about any of our colleagues, nothing about our supervisors, nothing negative about any of our organizations, because that would reflect negatively and it would be a breach of the social media policy. We can talk generally about what we could do as nurses to improve our voice, which is what we're doing here today, or what we could do as nurses to help each other out. And those are the types of broad conversations that I love to have on LinkedIn, because they're applicable to people regardless of the areas where they've worked. I mean, my whole career pretty much has been exclusively emergency, but the things that I've learned are not only for emergency nurses. They could help anyone that's in nursing. So that's why I like to share.
Yeah, good point. And I think your point around, if you are worried that what you are writing is not quite hitting the mark, then yeah, you might well be right. So just hold back and maybe get a second opinion, or think how you could word it differently to make it reflect well on you. And you know, we all reflect on things. We don't reflect on the everyday, but we reflect on things that have caused us some kind of disorientating dilemma or some confusion, or where we think things haven't gone as well as they could. And that's the power of reflection, isn't it? Is to step back and think and look at our own actions within that situation, because that's the only thing we have the power and autonomy over is ourselves, really. And then sharing that learning to help someone else who might be in that situation 6 months from now or 6 days from now. They might just be somewhere where they go, oh, I read about this, and I'm going to look what that lady says, and it might be really, really helpful. So yeah, and I suppose that brings us quite nicely onto one of the other themes on that you noticed, people kind of saying, well, who am I to post? Why should I post? Who am I to post? Who's going to listen to me? That kind of thing. What would you say to that concern?
I would say I will listen to you. I will listen to you because I want to hear from you. I love hearing other nurse experiences, other nurse stories, what people have learnt, moments they're proud of, skills they're getting, courses that they've done, or ideas for implementation that other sites are putting on that we ourselves could trial. These things inspire me and encourage me, and make me feel proud and make me reflect on things that I've been through. Like, there's nursing students on LinkedIn and they'll put up a picture of their degree, or they'll say, oh, I can't wait to start my clinical placement next week, or I'm about to start my dream job. And it just brings back all those memories of when I was in that same place. And, just reading those warms my heart. And so I love hearing anything from nurses, anything at all like that. And I would be listening to you. So when people say, oh, who am I to write about my experiences? You're you, and you're a nurse, and that is special. Because the things that you see, the moments that you have, and the people that you help, well, they're just the gold dust of life. They're so special, and we are so blessed to be in a profession where we can be there for people in those life-changing moments. And sometimes they change life for the better, like if you're in midwifery, and sometimes they're devastating, and we can make it a little bit better. But either way, we're making a difference.
For sure, definitely. And I think that impact that we have on other people's lives, we don't fully appreciate or realize. And I could say it's only really since I've come away from my clinical work and spent some time kind of honing my coaching skills and coaching more and being a bit more reflective and having time to kind of step back and really reflect on over 20 years of nursing. Have I actually stopped to consider the impact and the moments and all those wonderful shared experiences with other members of staff and more importantly the patients, so that a little piece of me is a little piece of their history and vice versa. A little piece of them is part of me forevermore in my memory and in my heart, and it's lovely. So I just think, who are we not to be posting?
Yes.
If we are all about helping other people and making a difference to people's lives, I mean, you could post something and warm the cockles of Tracy's heart tomorrow. So,
Yes.
you
generous. Be generous. Don't be stingy. Give it to me.
you don't know how many more people you could be helping by posting something. Why limit it just to the 6 patients you're looking after that day? You might help 600 other people who read your post and take something from that and learn something and feel better about their day because of something that you've posted. So don't hold back, don't deny other people a chance to learn from you and feel better or have a better day because of something you post. And it might be something around health, you might have some real speciality that you post, and there might be someone suffering with that problem who takes a tip that you share and it makes their day better. You just don't know, do you? So who are you not to be posting? You definitely should be posting. You don't know what a difference you could be making to so many more people's lives. That's what I would say to that.
Yeah. Some of my favorite posts that I've seen from other people are where they recognize their other nursing colleagues, like people who've been nursing for 60 years or something like that. And I just think, wow, these people are amazing. And the people that are recognizing them are amazing for just seeing that greatness within the others. So yeah, you and I are on the same page. We are inspired when people post, and we love to read it.
Yeah. And I think if we can inspire each other and empower each other and support each other, then it comes back to that having more of a voice, having more of a say, feeling more valued. So from a personal perspective, it's all good as well. One of the other...
Can I add one more thing there?
Of course. Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to add is nurses are by far the largest population of health professionals in hospital services. I think in different services we're 60 to 70% of all of the staff, yet we're underrepresented in so many ways. So when we think, who are we to post? Who are we not to post? We're the majority. We're at the moment what I kind of feel is the silent majority because you don't hear from us. But that's such a shame because there are so many of us. We would be a tidal wave of power if we were all sharing our stories, our ideas with each other and learning from each other. Just imagine how many nurses could be elevated by us all sharing this information with each other freely.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's a really important point. I like that tidal wave of nurse power. Yeah. Come ride the wave. Get yourself aboard. Yeah. And one of the other kind of concerns or objections that came up was, what will people think of me? This kind of fear of what others might think of us. What would be your comment on that?
There's a I keep quoting people today. There's a quote by Mark Twain which says, you will care little what other people think of you when you realize how seldom they do. And so often we may not do things because we're worried about what other people will think of us when they're not thinking of us at all. They may or may not even notice if we've posted anything, but when we post, we could be posting for ourselves rather than for what other people will think of us. And you know, many times, as you alluded to, I have posted things that have not been so flattering about myself. Like I've shared mistakes that I've made, but I really hope that they can help other people. And some people will read it and think, oh, she's terrible. Well, those aren't my people, because people who read it and know that I've learned, and that's why I'm reflecting on it, are my kind of people. But also, when we talk about what other people think of us, this is something that I only just thought of today when someone else had written another post, which is, you know, when people try to do something or post something, they have this fear that the others will pull them down. And it reminds me of those experiments they did with monkeys, where they put a group of monkeys in there, hung a bunch of bananas in the top of the room, and when any monkey climbed up to try to grab a banana, they sprayed all of the monkeys with cold water. And then slowly, one by one, they replaced every single monkey in there, and then they stopped spraying them with water. But anytime someone tried to grab one of those bananas, all the others would attack them and pull them down, because they were fearing a threat, even though they didn't know what that threat was. And nurses are not monkeys at all, but there are comparable things here, because sometimes when people do reach out or do try something new, others may make comments or perceive something as in whatever way they perceive it. And I guess it's a fear that they may have, and that the person trying to reach out or trying to post something is not scared of. But is there something to fear now? I don't know if there is, and I don't think that there is. What do you think?
I think that the fear of what other people think of you will always be there if you let it, and it's a choice that you just have to kind of get over it, because people will judge. That's the nature of human nature. We judge other people, and as much as we kind of go, oh, I don't judge and everyone's the same, and it's a kind of inbuilt defense mechanism. We judge someone to work out, are they safe, are they can I approach them? We make judgments. And I think nurses, we are trained to make judgments. We're trained to look at problems. We're trained to make judgments on things so that we can then make kind of decisions. But it doesn't work for every situation. And I think maybe that's why nursing has got a bit of a reputation. I mean, you did a whole series on why nurses eat their young, didn't you, or something like that? And it's this, why do we kind of try and pull each other down instead of helping to push each other up? That's maybe a theme for a whole new discussion. But I just think, you don't have any control over that other person's perception of you, or what kind of day they're having, or whether they're going to agree with you or not agree with you. So just let it go, and like you said, you're going to attract the right people to you that share the same views and opinions, and the people that don't, well, so what? That's their view and opinion. Don't let it hurt you, and they're entitled to their view and opinion just like you're entitled to yours. So and honestly, on LinkedIn, I haven't really had any negative comments. I mean, people are generally quite supportive, and I don't know what you found, and you can just kind of delete someone's comment and unconnect from them or whatever, can't you? I think. So
I don't think you can delete their comment, but you can report their comment if someone writes something offensive. Although I think it's only ever happened to me one time. Yeah, and I guess in addition to what you were saying, what other people think of us is none of our business. It doesn't really matter. Like if there was a lion in the forest and a pig came up to the lion and said, "You're a pig," would the lion care? No, because it knows it's not a pig. And the only thing that could worry us is if other people say things that we truly believe about ourselves, or that we're worried about for ourselves. So if someone else is saying something, I guess we need to look closely at what we perceive as true of ourselves, and have they hit some sort of insecurity there, and maybe we can investigate that with kindness towards ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. Look at what's been triggered in you. What's that reaction that you're getting, and why are you getting that? Because if it's not true, and it's not true, you just don't care. It's like, well, that's not true, and I know that's not true, so I don't really care what you've got to say about me. You don't agree with me, fair enough, move on. But I can understand it, and I think it's just one of those things, like we talked about last week. The first few times you start to post, you have that fear of all of these things, and then the more you do it, that you just kind of it's water off a duck's back, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I hit publish with reckless abandon. I don't have the fear when I hit the publish button anymore.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I mean, is there anything else you'd like to say about that? I mean, that's a whole kind of episode in itself, really, isn't it? Is kind of getting over the fear of what other people think of us, because that's very real for a lot of people, whether they're posting on LinkedIn or not. That's kind of in so many parts of our lives, we worry about that perhaps a bit too much or unnecessarily. But Is there anything else you'd
Yeah.
like to comment on that for now? No.
No.
And the final thing that kind of came up for people was that I don't, and maybe that's kind of linked to who am I to post, was this kind of idea of I don't have anything to share. What do I post? That kind of thing.
Yeah, this came up a lot. So many people, and people I know personally, were saying, "Oh, I don't really have anything to talk about." And I've said to them, "You've worked in 5 different hospitals. You've worked rurally. You've worked at 5 different levels of nursing. You've worked in different settings, different areas. I know you've told me some incredible stories. How can you say you have nothing to post? Have you learned? People have learnt so many things, and some people have learnt them the hard way like me, and they could share those things so that other people don't have to learn the hard way, or they could just tell a nice story about one of the times that was really meaningful to them, because I love heartfelt stories as well. You know, it just makes me reflect on my practice and reflect on other things that I've seen, and you know, I just love everything.
And people
There are
love
so many
stories, don't they? Stories are such a great way. That's how we've connected through time, you know, sitting around the fire in, you know, caveman days. We sit around and share stories. The stories are a great way to connect a kind of human emotion and share some things. And we are full of amazing stories of our experiences that I'm sure other people would be interested in hearing about. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, for example, for you, we've only recently connected, but I would be interested in finding out how you came to coaching from being in a clinical background. You know, that's an interesting story to me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, what was the best part of your nursing career, or what was the point that made you think, oh wow, I'm just doing something really incredible? Or was there one moment that really touched you? All of these types of things I'm really interested in. Or what was the greatest lesson that you learned about being a nurse? And when people say, oh, I don't have anything to contribute, I know nursing students who have written posts that I have been inspired by. I know graduate nurses who have written posts that have helped other nurses. There's a graduate nurse called Wesley Woodburn, and he has written five different articles on how to land your dream job. And he wrote them in his grad year of being a nurse. So he had 1 year of experience, and he was already contributing to the nursing students of the future, like the nurses of the future. There's so many things that people can share, perspectives, ideas, helpful little ways to remember things. I don't know, that it's unlimited, really.
Yeah.
What can't you post?
What can't you post? Exactly. I'm just wondering if it would be helpful if we maybe posted like a question to prompt people's thinking around the things they could post, like some of those questions that you shared. You said just then about, you know, what has been one of the most, you know, heartwarming experiences of your career, or I don't know. We can think of a few questions to post up, and hashtag the Nurse Club, which is the hashtag we're using to try and bring the nurses on LinkedIn together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Under this video, you and I can both put a comment of what our most heartwarming experiences were in nursing. Just one, and we'll ask anyone who watches this video to do the same thing, because then we'll get to read all of these beautiful stories, and that will be people having a go, contributing on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Yeah. And people can comment on that, or they might feel inspired then to make their comment into a post that they can share their own post on. So yeah, we'll look forward to seeing what comes of that. Have you anything else to say about you know, what to post, or what else you could be sharing? I think there's this kind of grey line, is that people, oh, it's LinkedIn, it's a professional forum. It's not like Facebook where I post a picture of my cat, and it's not. But there's, you know, it's I suppose what would be the differences, would you perceive, between a forum like Facebook or Instagram and LinkedIn, and what would be the differences in what you might be posting?
Well, I guess Facebook is really your whole life there. Whereas LinkedIn is the professional aspects of your life. So if you purchased a new stethoscope and you had your favorite inspirational saying put on that stethoscope, I would take a picture of that stethoscope and put it on LinkedIn. Or if what else would I put up? When I see things that really inspire me at work, like someone has gone the extra mile, I might just write a little post about that saying, I saw an incredible nurse today. This is what they did, and it just blew my mind. One time, during interviews, I asked someone why they wanted to apply for this high level position, and they said because people in this level of position had been supporting them throughout their whole career, and now they wanted to give back. And that made me smile so much, and I wrote a post on that. It doesn't have to be things we personally have done. It could be things we've heard. It could be things we've seen, or it could be the smiling faces of people in our workplace. But there are just so many options. What kind of things would you put up? How would you draw the line?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I do some, and I take issue with this kind of thing of separating work and life, because I do think that we are just the same person in work and in life, and we share the lessons that we learn across those two kind of areas of our life. So I will sometimes post things about my life or something that I've reflected on or experienced, but that has a meaning and that has a learning. So I posted something on there about it was a picture that came up. It was a Google memory picture that came up. It was my dad with my youngest daughter, and it was a real poignant picture. It was taken about a couple of years before he died, and he died very suddenly. And this image that flashed up just brought all this emotion and everything up. And it's this real sense of, oh God, life is precious and life is so worth living. And we go about life kind of with our heads down and not really appreciating it. And LinkedIn is full of people who work really hard, and that's great. But actually look around you and appreciate life and grab it by all of its horns for everything that it brings you, the joy and the pain and everything in between. And I just really felt called to share that as a message, because it's a real kind of I suppose something I believe very, very strongly in, and I really want to kind of help other people grasp that. And maybe that's come from years working in an environment where you see the raw edge of life, and you see how quickly it can be turned upside down and taken away from you. And then having my own experience where life was just suddenly and cruelly kind of pulled out from under my dad's feet within 24 hours, and the shock of that just really, that's a message that I just really want to get out there, that as tough and as challenging and as hard as life can be, is also wondrous and joyful and pleasurable, and we have to go through the pain to get the joy and everything in between. So just embrace it and live it, and that's a real message I wanted to share. So that was a real kind of very personal experience from my life that I felt I wanted to share on LinkedIn to kind of get that message out to people. So I just think, I don't think there is a limit, and there's no kind of, are there the LinkedIn police who go, no, you can't post a picture of your dog? I think I've posted a picture of my dog before now, me and my dog exercising. And so I don't know. I don't know. I suppose it's just how it comes back to how you want people to know you and see you, and what you're willing to put on there. But always with that idea of well, I want to be how I want to be perceived and thought of, and recognized, I suppose.
Like, if a prospective employer was to look you up on LinkedIn, would they need to see your latest nail polish on your toes?
No.
Probably not. that one doesn't need to go on LinkedIn. That's probably a good question you could ask yourself. Would you be happy with a future employer seeing what you're putting up there? And then that can be your guide.
Yeah, no, that's a good guide to use, quick guide to use. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd like to say on this issue?
I'd just like to say I'm glad you put a picture of your dog on LinkedIn, because I've seen some really great ones, especially during this COVID time. There's been a lot of people working from home and saying, oh, they really enjoy spending time with their new co-workers. And of course, those co-workers have been animals of various types, and it's just been really cute. And I've enjoyed seeing those posts on LinkedIn as well. So.
I just think if you can help make someone's day a little bit better or a little bit brighter, or maybe kind of help someone maybe get a slightly different perspective or new perspective on something, then it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've got anything else to say on this issue or topic for today's discussion. So thank you once again for sharing your quotes. You've been like quoting quotes a minute today. I'm in awe of how you can kind of store all those quotes in your brain along with everything else that you do. So
it's my secret fetish is amazing quotes. I've been collecting them since I was 9.
Your secret power.
Yeah.
Well, those are good things to post on LinkedIn as well, aren't they? Just like little inspirational quotes and things like that. So, yeah. So I'd encourage anyone who is on LinkedIn to start posting. Use hashtag the Nurse Club so that we can all follow and encourage and support each other and comment and engage with each other's post. And if you're not on LinkedIn, then to get yourself a profile, connect with Tracy Churchill and me, Amy Sinicola, and start posting and see how you find it and see what happens. Be interested to hear what you've got to say. If you've got any comments, then please leave them in the video below. And next week, I think we're going to be talking more about some of the technical aspects of LinkedIn, and we'll be taking some advice from some LinkedIn experts. So if you've got any questions about engagement on LinkedIn, how to get more engagement, times of posting, is video better than written, is picture, do you need a picture, I don't know, whatever questions you've got about the practicalities of posting on LinkedIn, then put those in there and we'll see if we can take some advice to feed that back to you. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to chatting to you again next week, Tracy.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. I
can't wait. Have a good week. And I hope everyone else has a good week too. Okay, bye.